The NFL world just got rocked, and if you're a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, you might want to sit down for this one, because what we're about to talk about could completely change the balance of power across the entire National Football League. Because reports and rumors are swirling, insiders are whispering, and now it's exploding across the league. The Chiefs are making a massive move to bring in none other than Joey Bosa. Yes, Joey Bosa. One of the most feared pass rushers in football, a player who has terrorized quarterbacks for years and now potentially joining forces with one of the most dominant teams of this era. And if this actually happened, we might be looking at the birth of the Scariest TDAFENSA in the NFL. Now think about this for a second. The Chiefs, a team already led by Patrick Mahomes, already known for explosive offense, already a nightmare to stop. But what has always been the one criticism? Defense. Not bad, but not always elite. Not always the kind of defense that strikes fear before the game even begins. But now, that might be changing in a big way, because adding Joey Bosa isn't just another signing. It's a statement. It's a warning. It's Kansas City telling the entire league, we're not just coming to outscore you anymore, we're coming to dominate you on both sides of the ball. Now let's break this down, because this move didn't come out of nowhere. For years, Joey Bosa has been the cornerstone of the Los Angeles Chargers defense. A relentless edge rusher, explosive off the line, powerful technical, and incredibly smart. When healthy, Bosa is the kind of player who can take over a game on his own. We're talking about a guy who demands double teams every single snap. A guy who forces quarterbacks to rush throws, make mistakes, panic under pressure. And now imagine that kind of presence in Kansas City's defensive scheme. But here's where things get really scary. Because Bosa wouldn't be alone. Oh no. He'd be lining up alongside players like Chris Jones. And if you know football, you know exactly how dangerous that combination could be. Chris Jones inside, Joey Bosa on the edge. Tell me, how do you block that? You double Jones, Bosa gets one-on-one. You chip Bosa, Jones collapses the pocket. You try to handle both, someone else gets free. It becomes a nightmare. An absolute nightmare for offensive lines. And suddenly, quarterbacks who used to feel comfortable against Kansas City, they're not comfortable anymore. They're under pressure constantly, and that changes everything. Because pressure doesn't just lead to sacks. It leads to turnovers, bad throws, interceptions, fumbles, momentum shifts. And when you combine that kind of defense with Patrick Mahomes on the other side, that's when things become unfair. That's when games get out of hand fast. Because Mahomes doesn't need much. Give him one mistake, one short field, and it's over. Now here's the bigger picture. The Chiefs aren't just thinking about winning games. They're thinking about championships. They're thinking about building a dynasty that lasts for years. And moves like this is how dynasties are built. You take your strength and you make it unstoppable. You take your weakness and you turn it into a weapon. And that's exactly what Kansas City is trying to do right now. But let's talk about Joey Bosa himself. Because this isn't just about talent. It's about motivation. Think about it. A fresh start. A new system. A chance to play for a team that's constantly in the Super Bowl conversation. A chance to chase a ring. Because let's be honest, that's the one thing missing from Bosa's resume. He's been dominant. He's been respected. But he hasn't had that championship moment. And joining the Chiefs? That could change everything. That could be the move that defines his career. And when a player like Joey Bosa gets motivated, When he feels like he has something to prove, that's when he becomes even more dangerous. Now imagine that version of Bosa. Hungry, focused, locked in, playing meaningful games deep into the season. That's terrifying. Now let's flip it to the rest of the league. Because if you're another team right now, you're watching this very closely. You're studying it, and maybe you're worrying. Because the AFC is already stacked. Elite quarterbacks everywhere. Explosive offenses. Tough defenses. But the Chiefs, they might be separating themselves again. Because adding a player like Bosa isn't just about improving. It's about dominating. It's about creating mismatches that other teams simply can't handle. And let's not forget, this is a team that knows how to win. A team that knows how to adjust. A team that thrives under pressure. And now they might be adding even more pressure on everyone else. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Because this move also sends a message inside the locker room. It tells every player, we're all in. No shortcuts. No half measures. Everything is about winning now. And that kind of mentality? It spreads. It raises the level of everyone around it. Defensive players step up. Offensive players feel the urgency. Coaches get more aggressive. The entire organization locks in. And when that happens, you don't just get a good team. You get a dangerous team. A team that believes it can beat anyone, anywhere. Now, let's talk about the fan. Because Chiefs Kingdom? They're already excited. They're already imagining what this defense could look like. The noise at Arrowhead. The energy. The fear in opposing teams. Because when you combine elite offense with elite defense, that's when stadiums become fortresses. That's when games feel over before they even begin. And if Joey Bosa really joins this team, Arrowhead might become even louder, even more intimidating than ever before. But let's stay grounded for a moment, because this is still a developing situation. Rumors, reports, speculation. Nothing is official until it's official. And in the NFL, anything can happen. Deals fall apart. Plans change. Surprises come out of nowhere. But the fact that this conversation is even happening, that tells you everything. It tells you the Chiefs are aggressive. It tells you they're thinking big. And it tells you they're not satisfied with where they are. They want more. More dominance. More control. More championships. And Joey Bosa? He could be the missing piece to unlock that next level. Now imagine the first game. Bosa in a Chiefs uniform. Lining up. Crowd roaring. Quarterback scanning the field. And suddenly, pressure. Instant. Relentless. Unstoppable. That's the vision. That's the nightmare scenario for every opposing offense. And if it becomes reality, the NFL might have a serious problem, because stopping Patrick Mahomes is already one of the hardest things in sports. Now imagine trying to score on a defense that's hunting you every single play. It's not just difficult, it's exhausting. And over a full game, that kind of pressure breaks teams. Now, here's the final thought. If this move happens, we're not just talking about a good signing. We're talking about a potential shift in the entire league. Because when a team like the Chiefs adds a player like Joey Bosa, it forces everyone else to respond, to adjust, to get better. And not everyone can. Which means the gap between Kansas City and the rest might get even bigger. So keep your eyes on this story. Because this isn't just news. This could be the beginning of something massive, something dominant, something historic. And if it all comes together, the Kansas City Chiefs won't just have a great defense, they'll have the Scariest defense in the NFL. And the rest of the league?